Hey there! Welcome to Hack the RADKit video series, where we explore together how to make the most of our RADKit environment using the power of coding. My name is Alfonso. I'm a developer advocate at Cisco DevNet. And I'm very happy to be starting today a brand new mini-series called Low-Code High Impact. In this mini-series, we are going to explore how to use low-code tooling, but also AI, to put together some very interesting use cases with little code, but a lot of potential. And the first use case that we're going to explore in this mini-series goes by the name of ChatOps with MCP and n8n. What we will do is to create a layer of ChatOps so that we can talk, we can interact with using natural language with our RADKit network, forgetting about all those specific CLI commands that depend on the family type, vendor, whatsoever. We will be able to talk to our RADKit like if it was chatting with a friend, but using the chat platforms that we know and love, the ones that we use every day, such as Slack or Webex Teams. We're going to do this by leveraging the MCP server that we created in the last episode. The thumbnail should appear here somewhere in the screen right now. Go check it out if you haven't done that yet. But also we are going to be using the n8n workflow platform. So this is what I have in mind for this use case. We are going to create an n8n workflow using a containerized environment, which will be in contact with our deployed Cisco MCP server for RADKit, the one that we created in the last episode. As you remember, this MCP server is in contact with our onboarded RADKit network, so we're allowed to do all sorts of read and write operations using natural language with the tools available. We're going to have on the northbound part an ngrok containerized environment so that we can open some tunnels to the internet. These tunnels are going to be used to connect our Slack and Webex Teams services so that at the end of the day, our users will be able to log in to their favorite platform, drop a message tagging a bot, which in this case, it's going to be our buddy RADKiteer. And the RADKiteer will relay those messages triggering our workflow environment in n8n, bringing those queries to our MCP server for RADKit, and bringing that information back. So that at the end of this execution, RADKiteer makes our network automation wishes come true. How does this look in n8n? Well, we are going to end up with a design like this in our containerized environment. It looks a little bit intimidating, maybe not really, but it's something super, super interesting. Trust me. So buckle up and let's get started. Before we start playing with our n8n workflow, we need to set up our Cisco RADKit MCP server. As mentioned before, you can get it from this link. And once you clone the project in your environment, we need to set it up to use HTTPS transport. So in my case that I'm using a Mac, I will use this script called setup.sh. It will trigger the installation of a virtual environment. And also here, I'm going to choose the second option for setting up my .env file. It is here where I will specify the kind of transport that I want. So for now, let's provide all the information that we are requested. I'm going to copy it here from my notes. So first one, what's going to be my remote username, which is this one. Then the service code of my RADKit service. I'm going to use the one of my lab. Perfect. Then the security certificate's password that I provided before. That's when we choose the first option of this small assistant. So I'm going to be providing that password. All right. And then here I select HTTPS transport mode. I will keep all the defaults, which is my MCP host and my MCP port. And that's it. I have already generated an env file and I should be good to go. So now I am going to mount this HTTPS-based MCP server. So for that, it's super easy. I'm just gonna go for my virtual environment, which is my VM bin activate. Voila. And then I will just do my Python MCP server. Just wait a little bit and voila, that's it. My MCP server is mounted in my host environment and I am ready to plug it into my n8n workflow. Time to do some Docker magic and create our n8n and ngrok containers. I just cloned the repository RADKit loves agentic ops in my computer, and I'm going to use the Docker Compose file that comes with it. Just bear in mind, you need to change some of the parameters in this file. There are instructions on what to change in the repository, but now I have mine already in place, so let's fire it up. So let's do our Docker Compose up. There we go, our 2 containers, and now my n8n container is ready and exposed with the URL that is provided to me by ngrok. So let's go to our web browser. I have it here. And let's create our very first workflow. Let's begin with the AI part of our n8n workflow. I will click here on Add First Step and add the block AI agent. For now, I will leave this part with the default values. Let's go back to the canvas and provide 3 things. The first one is going to be my chat model, aka my LLM of choice. In my case, I am using Claude, so I will select the Anthropic chat model, but here you can use whichever you want, the LLM that you like and love. In my case, I have already provisioned my credentials, but you would need to provide them here if it's the first time that you use this block. Then you can provide the model that you're using. I'm going to go for Sonnet, and we go back to our canvas. Next thing is some memory. We want to provide context to my AI agent so it keeps track of the previous conversations and give us more insightful answers. I'm going to use a simple memory. For this use case, we don't need anything too complicated. And the window length of 5 for the context should be just fine. Let's go back to the canvas. And then the most important part, in my opinion, is the tool, aka our MCP client. Now we are enabling this AI agent as an MCP client for our Cisco RADKit MCP server that, if you remember, we triggered it and it's already there running in the background, ready for some action. So we need to provide the endpoint here. I have it already here copied. There's a very important thing in this endpoint. Remember that we are running our n8n on a Docker environment. Therefore, we cannot use localhost. We need to use this prefix host Docker internal. And then, last but not least, we're just going to change the transport to SSE, and we should be good to go. Let me put it pretty, a little bit here, and moment of truth, let's give it a go. n8n provides you with this chat interface. I have already run it here, but let's just run it again. So I'm going to ask my LLM, hey, can you please tell me which are the devices in my network? You can see here that the request comes from my chat to my AI agent, and my AI agent will go in between my model, my memory, and my MCP server. And it will give me this information. Yes, these are the devices in your inventory. I am not making this up. This is not a hallucination. This is real data from your RADKit network. Brilliant. The AI part of our n8n workflow is working. However, me as an end user, I don't want to have to log in to n8n, go to the workflow, go to the embedded chat for interacting with my RADKit network. That's pretty much useless for me, isn't it? What I would ideally like to do is to rely on my everyday chat platforms to talk to my network like if it was chatting with one of my colleagues, spreading gossip, whatever, right? So we are going to work on our first integration, which is with Slack. We need to set up a couple of things. Don't worry about the specific details of it. I leave a very detailed description in the repository. So I'm just going to go through the general aspects of it in this video. The first one is we need to have a workspace in our Slack platform. In this case, I have this one, my network ops. And also we need to create a bot. I have here my RADKit body. You can see the description here. It is nothing but a Slack bot linked to our n8n to make our network automation wishes come true. Now that we have this, that we have everything integrated, it's time to bring all these configurations into our n8n workflow. And it's something very, very simple. We just need to add 2 blocks to our configuration. You can see here that we keep our AI agent with its 3 different components. But instead of having the embedded chat, I'm adding here a Slack trigger. The configurations of the Slack trigger are pretty simple. We need to set up a credential using an integration with Slack. It is very easy to set up. I leave the descriptions in the repository. We also need to set up our webhook. Depending on how we are operating our n8n workflow, if it's a test or if it is deployed in production, like active mode, we are going to be using a different URL here. In my case, I have it in test mode, so I'm using this URL. And then here we can choose how we want to trigger this block. It can either be through the mention of a bot, which in my case is a RADKit bot, or it could be on some other events. In this case, we're gonna stick to the bot mention. And also we can choose a specific a specific channel within the workspace or all the channels available within the workspace. In my case, I want this to be triggered by any given channel. So I have this one enabled. And then on the other side, on the output of the agent, we have here a different set of configurations. We have a block called send a message. In this block, I'm telling it, hey, you need to send as soon as the AI agent gives your reply, I want you to select the ID of the channel where this message came from originally. So you can see here on Slack trigger part, I am dragging the element called, where is it? Here, channel. I'm dragging this one here because I'm telling n8n, hey, you go send this reply, this specific channel that is where the original request came from. What are you going to be sending? Well, you're going to be sending the output of this AI agent. You can see here that I have this small block dragged here in my message text. And off we go to our Slack conversation. There's an intermediate step though that I need to mention. We are tweaking a little bit our AI agent. I am giving my AI agent a persona. I am giving it a defined role so it assumes properly its tasks. You can see here, hey, buddy, you're a friendly network operations assistant. Your name is RADKit. You are going to be formatting all the responses on a really nice markdown suitable for Slack. That means bold for emphasis, backticks for all the specific networking things, bullet points for lists, and please keep your responses nice and clear. Be helpful, professional, and conversational. And then finally, we are putting here the actual text, the actual query that comes from my Slack trigger. You can see here json.text because that is the text that comes from my Slack trigger. Now, one final thing though, on my simple memory, I want the context of my conversations to be linked to the actual conversations, right? Before with the embedded chat, we didn't have this issue because it was only a single entry point and there was not much else. But now here we can have many different Slack channels. So I'm going to change here session ID to define below. And then the key is going to be my event TS coming from my, coming from my Slack trigger. You can find it here somewhere, my event TS. Here it is. So I just dragged it here. And I keep my context window the same. So let's give it a go, shall we? I have here side by side my Slack client and my n8n workflow, so we can see what's happening behind the curtains when I invoke my RADKit bot. So First of all, we are going to create a new channel within my network ops workspace. Sorry, I go here to channels, create channel. It's going to be called NetOps Spiel the Tea. Perfect. I'm going to create it. No members for now. Now I will add my app, my RADKit app. I have it here. App, perfect. So now I can use my RADKit bot. Before that, I need to execute my workflow because it is in test mode. So I need to put it here waiting for any triggering event. So now that it is there, I can use my bot within my chat. So I'm going to go and say, hey, RADKit, please tell me what you can do. I want RADKit to introduce itself to tell me which are the tools, the capabilities that it has available for me to use. So you can see here that it is querying my AI agent, my model, and my MCP client within n8n to give me this nice reply. It is telling me, hey, I'm RADKit, your friendly network operations assistant. Let me collapse this a little bit. I'm here to help you manage and monitor your network devices. So I can do device management, view all devices, check device details. I can run command executions, troubleshoot issues, and how to get started. Ask me things like show me all the devices, what's the status of this device, run a specific command, whatever, right? So let's see if that's actually the case. So I'm gonna go and say, hey, RADKit, please create a summary of the interface statuses of device P02E and create this nice table for me. I'm going to execute my workflow again and send my message. So now you can see that once again, my n8n workflow is being triggered. It's working together with my AI agent, my LLM, and my MCP client. Once it gets all the information that it needs, it's going to be sending it back to my chat, as we will see in just a couple of seconds. There we go. There we have it. It reads, this is the summary of this device. We have the interface names and the statuses. We can see it here. The legend, quick status, all that stuff. Let's say that my everyday chat app is not Slack, but rather Cisco Webex instead. So if I want to also enable this conversational layer, this ChatOps in my Webex chats, I need to create two things first. I need to create a bot and an integration. Don't worry about it too much right now. I have the detailed instructions in the repository, so you can follow them afterwards. But we need to create these two elements first. Now that they are ready, we can go back to our n8n workflow and just add a couple of blocks here and there. Nothing too complicated, nothing too fancy. Let me walk you through these new changes. We start with our Cisco trigger, our Webex for Cisco trigger. We are going to say here, hey, whenever you receive a message, a brand new message in this specific room, you are going to be triggering this part of the workflow. You can get the room ID from either the API, or you can set it here, this block to execute in test mode, send the message, and you can get that room ID from the input parameters. And we're just going to put here that code. So we're going to be monitoring the messages on a specific room. Perfect. That's step number one. Step number two. We're going to check if our bot is mentioned in this new message from this specific room. Remember that we created the RADKit bot also in Webex. So we're going to check, hey, is this bot mentioned in the message? We can get the ID of the bot from either, once again, the test mode, or we can get it from the definitions in Webex for developers. So now that we are filtering the messages that mention my bot, I'm going to get the content, the text of those messages. For that, we are going to use an HTTP GET request. You can see here the URL, and that it has the ID that comes from my Webex trigger. You can get it from here, from my Webex by Cisco trigger. This is the ID that we're going to be sending, right? Sorry, it's from data ID. This is the ID that we're going to be sending for our request, and then we will get that message content. Then one more thing that we need to do is to normalize these messages. And we're going to do this for both Webex, Slack, and any other chat platform that I want to integrate into this workflow. What we want is a standardized data structure that we can work with regardless of the kind of platform that we're talking about. It could be Slack, it could be Webex, it could be any other given platform. We standardize it here. We have 4 parameters: platform, message text, chat, and ID. And we are going to be dragging here from the corresponding triggers the elements that make sense here. You can see that for a message text, we have the text from our getMessageText element. The chat is a room ID from our Cisco trigger, and the ID is also, well, the ID of the conversation from my trigger. The platform is hard-coded. It's going to be Webex. As I mentioned before, that we need to do this for each and every one of our elements. We're going to do it here as well for my Slack. The platform value hard-coded, it's going to be Slack. Then the message text is going to be the text from that trigger, the channel from that trigger, and also the event TS, that's going to be our ID. So now that we have those ready, we're going to be merging them, which means that we're going to have a single input for our AI agent. So it's going to be either Webex or Slack, one or the other. This is standardized structure. We go into our AI part. Now, a couple of changes here in the elements of our AI agent. If we go here to the description, I added here the platform that comes from our merge element. So it's like, hey, the markdown, please make it compatible with either Webex or Slack, right? The rest stays the same. Now, if we go to our simple memory, we want to associate the context of these conversations to the specific one that it came from, regardless of whether it's Webex or Slack. So I am taking from our input, here, the chat ID, which is the one that we have here from our merge element. This is the chat ID that we're using here. Now, last but not least, here we have a final filter. So we're going to say, hey, if the platform that we're talking about is Webex, then you go on the true side of the block. If it's not, then you go on the false side of the block. We're going to take this, once again, from the merge block. And then here you can see that if it is true, it goes to this block here, which is post HTTP request. This post is going to be creating a new message. This message is going to be in reply to the original message from my Webex room. I have here a JSON body, and in this JSON body, I am using these parameters. Room ID, it's the chat ID that I get from my merge block. Then the markdown is going to be the output from my AI agent. It's important in Webex to specify it as markdown because otherwise it's going to be rendered as plain text. Then finally, my parent ID, because I want to reply this as a thread, as a response to the original message, that's going to be the ID from the chat that I have here in my merge element. And that's it. If you have a look at the execute workflow button, you will see that it changed a little bit. Now we get to choose which trigger we want to test. We cannot test both at the same time, so it's either Webex or Slack. For now, I'm going to go with the Webex one. So my workflow is ready for receiving any given inputs from my specified room within Webex, which I happen to have here. This is the RADKit test room. This is the one that I onboarded in my workflow. In the people inside, we have our RADKit bot. So now it's time to give it a go. I'm going to go and say, hey, RADKit, please tell me what can you do. I will send this message. This will trigger my n8n workflow, and I will get this reply. Hey there, I'm RADKit, your friendly network operations assistant. Happy to help with all these different network operations. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and test that. I'm going to go, hey, RADKit, hey, RADKit, Please create a detailed report of the billions of device P02E. Before I trigger this, let me go back to my workflow and test it again. So I will enable it here to listen to any trigger events. Let me go back to my Webex chat, and now we are ready to go. I'll send this message and we see what happens. And that's it. We get this detailed report. We have all these billions. We have all this stuff. Final part of this episode. Let's make everything work together at the same time in active mode. That's very simple to do. We just go here on the upper part and switch this from inactive to active. It's going to tell us that the workflow is activated. We say got it. And then we need to do one final change. We go to our Slack trigger, and in our Slack app, we change the URL from test to production. I already did it. And once again, don't worry too much about it right now. There are instructions on how to do this in the repository. So now that we are already set up, we don't need to change anything for Webex. Let's give it a go, shall we? I'm going to go here to my Slack chat, and I will create a new request. Let me get here my requests. I'm going to go and say, hey, RADKit, are there any alerts or warnings in this specific device? So I'm going to send this. I'm going to wait a little bit for my n8n workflow to process this, and I will get this reply. Based on the attributes, I don't see any specific alerts. It's running iOS XE. That's, pretty much normal. Cool. Now let's go to our Webex app. I will change here to my RADKit test room, and I will ask a different question. I will go with these other requests. Just give me a second. Hey, RADKit, create a detailed report of the hardware components of this specific device. So we're going to wait for this to process a little bit, and I should get a reply anytime soon. There we have it. We have here a summary. We have, based on the output, here are the key hardware details for this device. Everything is here. So let me just go back to our project. And as you saw in this episode, it's pretty easy, pretty intuitive to create this AI-powered experiences on n8n. And your imagination is the limit. You can unleash your creativity here and do all sorts of network operations based on this low-code tooling and our MCP server. So that's it from my side on this one. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and share. And let me know how it goes when you hack the RADKit.